Joining us from our Abuja studio to further deepen the conversation about insecurity in Nigeria is Onyekachi Adekoya, a security and risk management professional. Glad to have you join us, Onyekachi. Now, it's clear that there's no... Thank you for joining us. It would seem, let me not say it's clear, it would seem that there's no clear path to victory when it comes to the matter of insecurity. We're hearing about negotiating with bandits, we're hearing about the military option. What do you think seems to be the more palatable option at the moment, especially with regards to the situation in Kagara?
Thank you for the question. Unfortunately, in security, I don't think there's a one-size-that-fits-all situation. You must look at the operating environment, the context, and what the objectives are, and what the capabilities of the parties are, and what the intent. So we look at intent, capability, context, and environment. If we put all these things into consideration, clearly the initiative is on the side of the bandits, as against the capability of the government security forces to nip these issues in the bud. So a government that is concerned for the safety of the persons would have to take the part of least resistance, at least to some extent. So that's what sounds reasonable to do. You may do that as a part of a larger strategy, and do that for now, while you build your forces, build your capacity, and implement a more broader approach to addressing the general issue of security. But what we begin to see is as though that the exception is almost becoming the norm, and that is to some extent alarming.
Well, there have been attempts at amnesty in the past by different governors in the northern region. There have also been several security operations, but none seems to be suggesting that this insecurity is abating. So what exactly are we not doing enough of? Because some will say we have tried both options. We have tried amnesty, that it didn't work, and then we have tried security operations. So what is missing?
From my own assessment, and with due respect to the parties who are working every day and night trying to address some of these issues, I think that the political will to address these issues is what, in my perspective, is lacking. Now, that may be as a result of ignorance on the part of the political actors. It may be willful ignorance. It may just be people and persons hold up in a certain perception on how to address issues. So it's political will for me. If the governor of the state has the will to address the issues, he will mobilize the local government chairman, who in turn will mobilize the local community chiefs, who in turn will mobilize and conscientize the persons in the community, so that you can create an environment that is hostile to criminal elements. Remember, what aids criminal activities is the cloak of invisibility. So when you have areas of low visibility and you allow those areas to have high activity, definitely what will be going on in those places will not be normal activities. So to the extent that the local government structure in Nigeria is almost non-existent, and leadership is lacking at that level, to the extent that it creates a bit of an ungoverned space. Situations where you have local government chairmen stay in the city capitals, the people have no form of governance to turn to. Those conditions are the conditions that create an enable environment for some of these things to thrive. So what must we begin to do differently? We must take a bottom-to-top approach to the issues of security. And until we do that with the right will, zeal, and drive, devoid of politics, we may not be able to address these issues anytime soon.
Well, Onyekachi, we know that even in war situations, it invariably ends on the negotiating table or dialogue. Now, Sheikh Gumi says that dialogue is the way to go, as it's apparent that the government does not seem to have the capacity to fully protect lives and property. What's your sense of the effort he's making and this is statement?
Thank you, Indy, for the question. Honestly, the comments coming out of the Minister of Defense, if one will also read that and tie that into what Sheikh Gumi is doing, the recurring theme in Nigeria today appears to be a theme of self-help. So whether it be Sheikh Gumi or it be a Sunday Igboho or it be people who are just fed up on the streets trying to address the best way they seem they can some of these issues. I mean, everybody must try. So from where I stand or sit, like you rightly said, every war situation will end in dialogue. And it's a principle of war to say that you must build a golden gate. A golden gate. Sometimes when you push the opposing forces to some extent and you push them against the wall, you create a golden gate for some persons to, take the easier way out, and that way you dissipate the forces you are fighting against, and maybe that gives you a bit of a fighting chance. So there must be a strategy to it. Sheikh Gumi, as any concerned Nigerian in any part of this country, is trying to do the best they can do. Myself on this platform, I'm trying to do the best I can do. Arise is trying to do the best I can do. We are all trying to elevate the conversation and maybe just lend our voices the best way we can. Remember that the people, we are the victims of these incidents, whether it be persons in the north or the persons in the south, even the military, the police. You can tell from the speech of the Minister of Defense. In my opinion, that's a man who sounds frustrated, a bit overwhelmed by what is happening, because he also has to account daily for the loss of life of officers and men of the Nigerian military. So it's not a very easy situation we find ourselves in. And anything anyone can do to help, as long as it's coordinated and it fits into an overarching strategy, perhaps we may be able to address some of these things. So I think we should welcome what the Sheikh is doing, but it has to be within a broader strategy.
Okay, well, I'm glad you set that in context. And may I say you were slightly more gracious to the Minister of Defense than many have been. But in terms of what you referenced as the bottom-to-top approach that is needed with accompanying zeal and drive, I would like you to clarify or break it down for us, because some may attest, or rather say that speaks to what the Minister of Defense said, that every man for himself. Is there no need for a harmonized approach? What is it that you're expecting from the bottom that would then drive it upwards in terms of our approach to the security problem?
Thank you very much for that question. I mean, I could stay the whole day on this set talking about it. But first, to the issue of the Minister of Defense. I travel around this country. I spent December into 31st in Maiduguri, sometimes in Adamawa. So I know the pains firsthand that the military faces. And again, it's not about being gracious to the military. People are dying. Officers are dying. Soldiers are dying. It is a bad situation. That's on the one hand. Now, in terms of a bottom-to-top approach, what is the expectation? Very simple. I said it. Look at the local government, or rather look to the local governments. In Nigeria today, local government chairmen, most of them, do not reside in the local government they govern. Look to the local government, because nature abhors a vacuum. And where you don't have, we talk about ungoverned spaces, unprotected spaces. Nigeria has 774 local governments, for Christ's sakes. The DSS has operatives in every local government. So on the one hand, there is a seeming lack of leadership in the remote communities across this country. And I think that the governors should give the local government a marching order for them to go back to the local government and provide governance to the people in the remote communities. If I were governor of a state, for example, I will hold any local government chairman responsible for any incident that happens in his local government. The local government chairman and politicians have perfected the act of using Some of them have perfected the act of using violence to win election. So, I mean, if you can wield violence for political purpose, I mean, you should be able to organize and mobilize the people, you know, to some extent. And what the Minister of Defense has said is true. The military cannot be everywhere. We are domesticating our military. And we're rather fortunate that we don't have aggressors from our neighboring countries. Otherwise, Nigeria will have been in a very serious situation. So let's hold the local government chairman responsible. Let's also hold the governors responsible for security in their states. They should mobilize and organize the people. And I think that that's part of what the communique coming out of the meeting of Nigerian governors forum is saying, that they will commit unequivocally to providing security. They will commit to working to the federal forces, you know, and they hope that they'll be able to achieve some of these things without even beginning to talk about the issue of state policing. So state policing, after doing the first leg, you then need to go to the issue of state policing. Those would be my quick take.
Well, I guess it also calls to question the capability of the Nigeria police when we begin to domesticate our military. But specifically speaking to the issue on the ground, which is the continued attacks on schools, what, in your opinion, is this actually? Is it because they are easy and sitting targets, or are we seeing insurgents changing MO, or a combination of this and more?
Thank you. Good question. So let's look at the root cause. We are now seeing a sustained approach of organized armed groups. At the heart of what is happening in Nigeria, it's not religion. It's not anything that has to do with ethnicity or religion. We are seeing the throes of a criminal enterprise. So these groups are breaking away. We are beginning to have plenty splinter groups. Groups are breaking away to go and launch new territories for themselves. They are breaking away within the Northeast. There are splinter groups in the Northwest. There are splinter groups in the North Central, pouring into the South. And the current IGP of police did classify these persons as terrorists. So if I extend it further, we have terrorist groups operating across the country. So it's a low-level terrorism that is currently happening. And at the heart of the MO of terrorists, what they always seek to do is to look for that place of least resistance and most impact. And the schools fall into that classification. We have thousands of schools across this country. We don't even have enough police to police all the schools. We had a Safe School initiative, and what was the initiative about? Basically about fencing. But security is about a culture. You can fence a school, but the school has to be situated within a threat environment, which will be the community. So what is the security culture in the community? What buffers does that fence perimeter have before you come to the fence? Who is seeing something, who is saying something? Who knows suspicious behavior and who knows how to report, and to what channel do you properly report suspicious behavior? And when suspicious behavior is reported, what actions are taken? If you are waiting for Abuja to take action, then you are going to have delayed action. So it's the condition. We have conditions that are necessary and sufficient for these incidents to continue. So what will continue to happen is basic.
Who is
These
saying
people will continue to look for
when they
soft
see
targets.
something. Onyekachi Adekoya, thank you so much for being on News. Stay.